and welcome everyone to the new Mediumship show. Actually, this is the revamping of the Mediumship show that I used to do with Linda in Australia. Many of you may remember, it's about 2 years ago now. We come into some difficulties. I'll just give you a bit of a backstory here, where we had a magazine program putting up different video clips from YouTube, and for some reason we got flagged, and every week the show was getting pulled, it was getting blocked, and the cause for this was copyright infringement. However, for the life of me, I don't understand why, because I think most of the stuff that's on YouTube is copyright infringement if we're going to have it in the strictest of terms. Anyway, so look, me and Linda are still good friends. We decided to pull the show because we didn't have the resource in terms of time or financially to fight all this. So we thought, okay, we'll put this into the sunset, as it were, and we get on with what we got to do. So from time to time I pop in and see Linda and we get on fine, there's no problem there. But Spirit did prompt me to do a show which is different from the show I did with Linda. It's not going to be a magazine show. This show that I'm going to do, and what we're doing here, is really to provide evidential mediumship. So there'd be no video postings or anything like this. It's certainly just to clarify things, because there'd be some people, I'm sure, who are not familiar with the term. But we won't be doing psychic work here today. Psychic work is looking in with the energy rather than connecting with spirit. And psychic work normally entails projections about life paths. So, you know, will I get the new job? Is my boyfriend coming back? Is my girlfriend coming back? Etc. etc. That's not what we're doing here. We're going to be doing mediumship, proof of survival, that we do survive the earthly body. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I haven't announced this really anywhere. I've just put this on YouTube and I'm just going to roll with it and see what happens. I just want to get used to the system that I'm using, become familiar again with a live format. And so over the next period of weeks, we'll see some improvements and more people join in as I start to market this show. I want to point out, just for the purposes of debate, that contrary to what a lot of my colleagues say, everyone is a medium. Everybody has that gift of mediumship. Certainly everybody's psychic and intuitive, but everybody has the gift of mediumship. I think this is one of the definitions of that we're all born equal. So you may have experienced a lot of these things yourself, actually, even though you don't say you're a medium. Clairvoyance, you probably may have seen spirit out of the corner of your eye, or sometimes directly in front of you, or sometimes in your mind's eye when you're absolutely thinking of something else. Boom, something pops in. That would be clairvoyance. Clairsentience is usually something that practicing mediums feel when they're doing a demonstration, which is the communicator in the spirit world will give them the feeling of perhaps how they pass through a heart condition, or give them the feeling of arthritis or anything like this. This is clairsentience. And then there's clairaudience. You may have experienced clairaudience yourself, where you've been minding your own business, doing the washing up or something, and you've heard with your physical ear a loved one in spirit. Sometimes we hear it with our physical ear, sometimes we hear it with our inner ear. And of course then there's clairgustance, and this is taste, and you know, you might be talking to spirit, to friends, excuse me, about someone in spirit, and then you might suddenly taste or have the smell of whiskey that this person used to drink, or the smell of a cigar that the person used to smoke. You feel it on your lips, and so on. This would be clairgustance, which as a medium sometimes we receive as well. And of course, there's the other one, which is a little bit more rare, claircognizance, simply knowing. And that's coming more and more into play, actually, as the vibration of humanity rises, which we'll get into. Claircognizance, clear knowing, comes into play. The only downside with that is we don't believe when we have claircognizance. We think it's our imagination. So also on this show, we're going to have guest mediums and guest healers. I think that's important. People can connect, other mediums can connect with perhaps the same person that I've connected with 2 or 3 times, but with another medium it comes in a different way. And I think this is important, giving us more depth to understanding proof of survival. So we can look at that as well. We'll have some healers in. I think I want to also do a session where we do some healing. When we get a bigger group together, we can do a group healing for somebody who wants healing that comes online with us. So yeah, and of course anyone can text in with comments about what's going on in the show, the topics that we're discussing. Obviously they can text in with someone they want to communicate with. They might want to communicate with someone in particular. I can't evoke anyone in the spirit world. Heaven knows I wouldn't want to. But we can see who comes in. And at the same time, when spirit comes in much the same way, they can choose to come in and I can choose to accept them or not. I can't evoke them. So it's a nice little safety net for both of us. But if we do connect with someone and it's not who you was hoping it would be, then not to worry, because that person who we've connected with may be the very, very link that brings in the person that you want. Everything's possible within the confines of what we're doing here today online. Now, Société Jeanne d'Arc, one of the things I want to do, and I'm doing with Société Jeanne d'Arc, is promoting peace, but not just external peace, but internal peace. But before we get on to that, I want to say that if you make a comment, that's great. Just be nice. If you don't agree with what's being said, or you don't agree with a comment that someone else has made, that's fine. Nobody's objecting to diverse opinions. Just be nice. And if you see a comment that somebody has made about your comment and you don't like it, that's okay. Just agree to disagree, or say something why you disagree. But far too often we see on the internet people hiding behind the internet, just behaving awfully. We don't do that here. We want to keep the vibration really quite high. And the way we do that is just being nice to people. So we need to promote peace in order to keep rising the vibration. The Schumann resonance is going through the roof right now, and consciousness is rising. This is because of the collective field or the unified field, whatever you wish to call it. So let's talk about peace. And if I can remember, and someone please remind me, I'll talk about the Maharishi effect, as this is to do with consciousness. And we are consciousness, spirit is consciousness, we're all connected. But let's talk about peace just for a moment, because Jeanne often, through the channeled messages I do with her, refers to peace quite often. The point is this: exterior and interior. How can we have world peace if we have no peace in our own hearts? It's almost impossible to have world peace on a permanent basis. Yes, we'll have peaceful areas of time and locations, but there never seems to be a whole period of time globally where there's world peace. And fundamentally, it's because we don't have peace in our hearts. So therefore, how can we love if we don't have peace in our hearts? How can we love ourselves? Peace has to come first. And so I refer to, let's look at externally, and we look at conflicts, global conflicts between two countries. Jeanne has always said to me, don't choose sides. And of course, everybody is going to say, if you don't choose sides, you're siding with the aggressor, which on the face of things would appear to be quite right. But I understand what Jeanne is saying. How do you know who the aggressor is? I say, well, you know, these people invaded this country. They're the aggressors. Well, on the surface, yes, but we're only getting one side of the information. We can only make an assessment, a proper assessment, when we're getting the full picture, which we're never getting. So let's say you're having a discussion with your friend about a conflict in the world somewhere. You're taking one point of view and your friend's taking another. You've caused more division. So of course, that isn't going to create peace. It's just going to create more division. And this is why she says, don't choose sides. I'll give you an example. When Jeanne was on the earth plane in 1429, battling away there, trying to boot the English out of France. Well, you know, the English had a point in saying, wait a minute, she's the aggressor. We have every right to be here since the signing the Treaty of Troyes with Queen Isabel. We have every right to be here. And here she comes, invading what is rightfully ours. She's not even French. She wasn't even from France. She was on the borders of France. She's the aggressor. Well, I guess the English would say you're quite right. She is the aggressor. But we don't have the full story back then. Now we do. And the full story is, as we know, we don't need to go into this. Actually, it was, from what we would see now, from our point of view, it would probably be the English that are the aggressors. So we fast forward this today, what appears to be a group of people that are aggressors may very well be, but we don't know. So what we have to do is search for the answer we want in, let's say, in a global conflict. So what is that? The end of war. Well, no, and Jeanne has said this again, it's not the end of war. The end of war is not what we want, because if we focus our attention on the end of war, then what? The war may end, but the same fighting parties who've created policy and authority may still be in a position of power. And so at some point, that end of war may not last very long. What is the outcome we want? It's peace. When we have peace, even if the people who have created the war stay within the power structure, if the unified field and the collective is talking about peace and praying peace and thinking peace, and we are acting our lives in a peaceful way, then peace has to come about. And we've seen this so many times, and there's science now proving this. So we have to find peace within ourselves first of all. So some things may be obvious, obviously, but other things are not so. So what about peace for ourselves? Okay, you know, we've been having this battle we're constantly angry or get angry very quickly with people, and we're never focused on the moment. We're always everywhere else, and so the problem continues. The reason for this is that we are allowing our monkey mind to take control of the situation. And the monkey mind says, Mike, don't worry. I know you're suffering. I know you're in pain. I know you're miserable. I know all of this, but it's better this way because we know the feeling. If we start looking for a resolution, the situation might get worse. We might not find peace. We may even find ourselves in a worse predicament. This is the monkey mind, and this is because the heart is closed off. We often hear, my heart is split in two. Well, actually, no, the heart is not split in two. It's the heart and mind are pulling in two different directions. So to find peace in your heart is the place you find peace. And after a short period of time, the monkey mind quietens down. And when the monkey mind quietens down, all the circuitry and the wiring starts to form new circuits and new wiring according to the new thought patterns you're having, which are coming from the heart. So we have to start looking for peace in a way that we've never dealt with peace before. In terms of looking for peace for global conflicts and stuff like that, we have to, as spiritual people and many of the light workers out there, you'll know this, we cannot help resolve a problem with the same thinking that's created it, which is a low vibrational thought process. We have to help create change from a different perspective, from a higher point of view, from a higher perspective. And so what does that mean? Well, of course, that means having peace within yourself, first of all. But it also means, you've got to have action of some sort. So you can write letters, but they must be in a loving way. And if you think those letters don't make any difference, you're wrong. If you think you're too small to make a difference, think again. Try sleeping in a living room or a bedroom with a mosquito if you think you're too small to make a difference. And also consider one tiny little snowflake might not make a difference, but when we have lots and lots of snowflakes, it makes a big difference. For those of you who live in areas like myself where the winters are quite cold and we get snow, we know all about this. So you have to move away from that idea that we're too small to make a difference, to make change, to heal the world. We're never too small, but as a collective, we've got an even more powerful armory in our box, so to speak. So we have to work on a different level. You can write letters in a peaceful way, and you can go on well, let's put it this way. I think Mother Teresa, who's got a bit of a checkered record, it's coming out now, but she said something quite true. You will not find me on an anti-war march, but you will find me on a pro-peace rally. You see the difference? That's the outcome. Peace is the outcome. Anti-anything doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. And I think this has been proven time and time again over the centuries. Anti this or anti that doesn't absolutely get us anywhere. Now, when you're in that peace vibration, you're actually in the love vibration. And when you're in the love vibration, it's much easier for you to communicate with the spirit world, if you choose to. And you'll be communicating with the higher realms of the spirit world. Now, if you're constantly depressed, constantly fed up with everyone, constantly bitter with everyone, it's very difficult for you to communicate with the higher realms, but not so difficult to communicate with the spirit world on the lower vibrations, getting near to the fourth and the astral, which can be a little bit unpleasant, not all the time, but the fourth is not the place to be. And which brings me on to another subject, actually. You can only get there wherever you are by your own volition. Nobody can force you into that fourth dimension. Let's just look at the many NDE or near-death experiences that people have had. Some of them have the most beautiful experiences. Some, one or two, and I've watched hundreds and hundreds, one or two don't have such a nice NDE, but it was because of them, not because of anything else. Perhaps for another subject we should start talking about karma, because Jean has spoke to me many times about karma, and karma, again, it isn't what people believe it to be. Very briefly, it's neither good nor bad. It is what it is. And it's there to help you and guide you, not to punish you or hinder you. So again, once you start working in the higher vibrations, you get to understand that almost everything in this world is an inversion of truth. Somehow, though, we've always had sufficient collective energy to stop this world from falling apart, because we're entering now this wonderful world of 5D, which is regarded as heaven on earth. As the old 3D world fades away. And it is fading away, but it looks like the world is breaking down. Well, the old world is breaking down, and those who have the eyes and the ears to see and hear, the new world is coming in. And it's coming in very fast. Just wait and see. I just ask if you just keep the faith within yourself, know that everything is going to work out okay. And it will work out okay if we take some kind of action. So let's say we have found peace and we want to do something to help promote peace within ourselves, peace within our family, help us communicate with spirit, and obviously peace externally. Now, I channeled a message from Jean a few weeks ago called Thrive. I'm not going to read it all because it's 9 minutes long. I'm just going to read 3 or 4 short paragraphs which will help us understand how creating internal peace and external peace can happen. And then I think I'll just talk about the Maharishi effect, because this is something that we can all do as well. So, these short excerpts, she says, firstly, find your passion. When you are in a state of passion, you're in the present moment, and all negativity that hangs over you is gone while you're in the action of passion. The negative thoughts and helpless thoughts dissipate. The warrior within you has a chance to rise because you're working from the heart energy. Secondly, self-worth. Do you love yourself and love all the life forms on Mother Earth sufficiently to believe wholeheartedly that you deserve, in this scenario we was talking about, world peace? Now, are you in the higher vibrations where change can be made, but not without the third aspect? So once you've got self-worth and you've got passion, you need something else. Action, which we spoke about. You now have to do something that synchronizes the higher vibrations, replace bad habits with good practices, replace procrastinating with speaking only when you have something of value to say, and put an end to gossip, replacing it with consideration and compassion. Now, being in the state of passion does this by default. You don't actually have to do anything else. When you're, as she says, when you implement these practices, you will be vibrating on the higher frequencies, then you will thrive, then you'll be able to allow spirit to help you more. Even if you don't want to communicate them, your vibration is so high that they'll be able to push you in the right direction. So the more people that thrive, the higher the vibration. The higher the vibration, the less support this 3D world of conflict has, and will either crumble into oblivion, or 3D itself will have to rise up and meet the new higher vibration, in which case 3D will have transformed itself, and I guess by default won't exist, but it really doesn't matter, I guess, in that respect. So let's talk about the Maharishi effect here. And, you know, even if you watch this in replay, you can comment, you can make a comment, and I'll pick it up and I'll see if I can answer it. But let's have a look at here the Maharishi effect. In 1969, he was popularized by the Beatles, who went and visited him. I'm sure you saw many of the pictures. And he developed this form of meditation that is now known as the Maharishi effect. It's quite dated now, as science has proven that we don't actually need to do this, but we can't dispute the power of this type of meditation. Without going into all the details, they take 1% of the given population where they need the change, and they put these meditators in there, and they meditate, and they do it for hours, and they do it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and eventually you see the change. This has been recorded, and independently, the figures have independently been gathered. So it isn't the Maharishi's people that gathered the information and said, look, here we are, prove it to you. No, they were independently compiled. So in the Lebanon Peace Project, while the meditators were meditating, war sorties went down, war injuries went down, and talks amongst protagonists went up. That's the long and the short of it. The Washington Peace Project was similar. Washington at the time was really array with violence, and serious violence, and so they put the meditators into Washington. And I think it was the chief of police said, the only way crime will come down is if there's 6 feet of snow. And they did this meditation in the full of summer. So after doing that in the full of summer, crime and serious crime went down by about 23% and remained after they left. The same in Liverpool, Toxteth, same situation. It was it was a lawless area of Liverpool called Toxteth, and the meditators went in and that all changed. But it's not about reducing crime or anything like this. There was the Rhode Island study where the meditators went in to improve quality of life, and they had about 600 meditators, and once the full spectrum of meditators were there, the quality of life started going up and up. And when they left, the quality of life dropped a little bit, but it never went back to where it was before. So what do we mean by quality of life? And it was the results were independently checked and compiled. Car accidents were down, heart attack admissions to hospital were down, alcoholism was down, cigarette smoking was down, and these were all independently checked and compiled. So we know this works, but it's a long drawn out process. We know now, obviously, the collective consciousness and everyone focusing, not even meditating, but focusing on the outcome they want is beneficial. And if everyone does it together at the same time, it becomes even more powerful. But what is even more powerful than this, and we know this to be the case now, what is even more powerful is ourselves being what we want the exterior world to be. And it's that simple. And I can assure you, test this yourself. In your own environment, start being the person you want to be. Start creating the environment in your home that you want, and watch how it snowballs out. So meditation is good. I like meditation. I think it's a wonderful practice. But you know, and I might get criticised for this, it is not the be all and end all to create world peace. It all begins and ends with ourselves. Whatever you want externally, you have to feel it internally and be it. And it's that simple. So be around people that think the same as you. Don't be around gossipers. Don't be around people that are depressing. Now, I'm not saying you should forsake people you've known for a long time, but when you're around them, I advise don't comment and feed them more and more on the anxiety that they have. Spend as much time with your tribe. You've got to find a new tribe, one that thinks positive, one that is the change, and everyone grows together. And believe me, we are doing this right now, right this very moment. Otherwise, the world as it is today would have marched on and marched on without any change. But because of our consciousness, things are really beginning to change. So it's all down to us. And as Jeanne has said to me, nobody is coming in on a white horse with an army behind them from the spirit world to save you. We have to save ourselves internally and externally. And when we are in that higher light vibration, then spirit can help us influence, and we can create this loving and peaceful world of abundance as well. Abundance for all. And we are beginning to see abundance coming in. I'm not going to talk about this because this is a mediumship show, and we want to connect with spirit. But however, it has to be said, the world is changing and there is abundance for all coming in for those who have got the right consciousness. There is new medical systems coming in to do with frequency and light, and something else Jeanne has spoken about, frequency and light. You want to heal yourself? You can do it. You can, but you have to believe it. And we've seen this with people like Joe Dispenza. We've seen this, I can't think, his name was Otto. They both broke their spine and they rebuilt their spine in their mind, day by day, rebuilt their spine. And since the body always follows the mind, eventually their bone structure was rebuilt and they were both able to walk again. Both Joe Dispenza and this guy, Dan Otto, I think his name was, both were told they'd never walk again. You can heal with the right mindset. You can absolutely heal. I also suggest, I think her name's Lynn McTaggart, her Power of 8 healing sessions. Form a Power of 8 healing group and support each other until you're in a position where you can feel confident enough to heal yourself. But let me tell you, when you find a passion, when you really find a passion, you can heal yourself. And when you're in that state of passion, as I mentioned, spirit can really help you much more. It's not because they're punishing you. I'm not helping him while he's miserable. No, it's to do with vibration. There's only so low they can come down for them to help you. Before we go, I'll give you a quick little story of a lady who went to a healer, and he wasn't a hands-on healer. He was intuitive healer. I think that's correct. So what's the problem? She said, well, she said, I've got cancer, and um, my I'm in an abusive relationship. My husband wants me to not do anything but stay at home and look after the kids until the end of my time, which is about 6 months. He said, okay, what do you like doing most? What's your passion? She said, painting. So, okay, he said, to her shock, I suggest you leave your husband, since you've only got 6 months left to live, and spend the rest of it painting. Okay, well, she did. The last I checked, 2 years on, she was still alive. You see, what happened is she took out of the environment, her bodily environment, one of the problems that was creating the illness. So in order to heal, you have to change the internal environment and the external environment. And then you can start to heal. And of course, if you keep doing what you're doing to make you ill in the first place, then your healing will be very short-lived. You'll end up back in the same place. So you have to, as we spoke about Joe Dispenza, as he said, break the habit of being yourself. So I think we'll leave it there today. Please comment after the show's finished. And I'm going to be doing this show again on Wednesday. I think I'm going to do it for my Australian friends. I'll be doing it about 12 o'clock our time here in Europe. And that'll be about 8 o'clock, depending where you are in Australia, about 8 o'clock in the evening, their time. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so please do leave comments, and I'll pick up those comments as soon as I get to them. So I would say this is me, Mike Cavalli, and Jean signing off. Bye-bye for now. Have a great rest of your Sunday.